So that concludes part one. Part two, I'll review this again. This is a section where I'll pose a question to each candidate. He or she will get 2 minutes per answer, and then in turn, each of the other candidates will get a 1-minute rebuttal, and during that time period, there can be some civilized conversation. So for question number one, it'll be to you, Karen Stintz, and it comes from Daniela. And she asks, because of the flood of last summer and the ice storm in the winter, I now live in a high-risk area and my insurance is through the roof. What are the candidates proposing as a follow-up and to better prepare communities for new extreme weather patterns? 2 minutes.
Oh, thank you for that question. We have recognized as a city that we need to invest in our infrastructure. And we talked a lot about transit infrastructure, but there's also the need to invest in hydro, to invest in roads and water and sewer. And so we do have a plan in place at the city right now. And for the first time ever, the federal government has recognized that they need to be our partner and investing in our infrastructure to help us prepare for extreme weather events. Because we know that part of living in a city means that you can afford to buy insurance. And we know that at a minimum, people who live here want to have the basics, right? We spend a lot of time debating frills, but what we need to be talking about are the basics. And that means making sure that you get water, sewer, lights, roads, transit, and the things that you need, the basics in a city. So we need to get those right, and I'm committed to getting those right. Thank you.
Mr. Sognacki, you have a minute to respond, and Ms. Stintz may converse with you.
I think as well, we need to work on environmental solutions because extreme weather events are in fact the warning signs, the canary in the coal mine, if you will, of what's happening. So that means working on stormwater management. It means investing in our aging infrastructure in such ways that we look after environmental issues. It means looking after and making sure that we have green roofs, we have our tree canopy. It means the continued investment in our parks and making sure that that's all part of our urban infrastructure. It's part of making sure that our roads stay up to scratch and we keep investing in our roads networks and our full investment in transit. So it's a lot more than simply insurance. It's part of the future and it's part of environmental programming as well.
Ms. Chow, 1 minute for you.
Climate change is serious. We need to address it. The temperature cannot continue to rise by 2 degrees because if not, we will have serious consequences. Talking about preparedness, hydro, they need to trim the trees, upgrade the hydro station. There are a lot of things that hydro can do to prepare for storms. Water, our sewage pipes are very, very old. It needs to be upgraded in order to prevent the flooding in a lot of homes. And that is expensive, and we need to invest in it. We also, other than the preparedness of it, we need to harness the solar and wind. We need to make sure, whether it's the city buildings or residential buildings, we need to help homeowners to retrofit their homes. I live in a home that have solar panels, that have geothermal. We can do so much where we can burn less and pay less. And that is what the future is all about.
And the final response on the question, Mr. Tory.
Sean, I'll say that I think some of the ideas, my 3 colleagues have talked about, are ideas well worth pursuing. This was a topic that we took up at Civic Action before the flood of last year and before the ice storm, because these things were happening more frequently, and we don't know exactly why, I guess. We have some ideas. One of the things I think that happens a lot of the time is when you have hydro, do a report on the postmortem after the ice storm and how we could do better next time at getting power restored and so on. We never hear about the report. We never hear what they found out about why it took as long as it did. And I'm sure there are some answers that have to do with Mother Nature and that you can't control, but there are, I'm sure, other answers that have to do with things we could do better. David Sognacki mentioned the tree canopy. I have suggested a substantial additional investment in restoring, simply to restore our tree canopy to where it was a couple of years ago, not just because it's part of a greener city and it's good for the environment, not just because it's good for shade and keeping energy bills down, but because it too is a fundamental part of controlling the effects of floods and sudden flash storms. So those are the kinds of things I think we have to do, starting though with learning lessons from the past.
Right.